Okay, welcome to Inventor. We're going to go ahead and draw Isoline 1 in this demonstration. This is the first screen you'll see when you first open the Inventor software. So we're going to go ahead and select under New. We're going to start with a part. Let's go ahead and click here with our left mouse button. Now, do keep the piece of paper with the Isoline and IsoCirc drawings nearby. That way we can refer to these dimensions. So before we begin, you'll notice that we're in 3D model. These are a lot of the different 3D modeling options you have in Inventor. This is one tab we'll be using from time to time. There's also another tab called Sketch, which has some of these two-dimensional objects that we'll also be drawing throughout this unit. Let me go ahead and return back to 3D model. Over here on the left, we have our browser window. You want to keep your eye here. From time to time, you'll see sketches appear, and we'll be starting a new sketch in a moment, and that sketch should appear here. Over here to the right, you have your navigation ribbon. This is something that can also, we can use these same functions also with our mouse and our mouse buttons. And this over here is a way to actually change the view, the perspective of your drawing, just by clicking on these different objects, these different views. For example, here's the home view, and then we can also go back to the front view. So to get started, we're going to go ahead and start a 2D sketch, and we can do this a few ways. We can either select the 2D sketch icon here. We also can see the shortcut is S. Another thing you can do, and I'd get used to doing this, is right-clicking anywhere on your workspace, and you'll see we have the new sketch options. Let's open up a new sketch. Okay, so here we have three different planes we can select. The XY plane is what I would refer to as the front view of your drawing. The YZ plane is what I'd refer to as the right side view of your drawing. And the XZ plane is what I'd consider the top view of your drawing. We're going to go ahead for Isoline 1. We're going to select the XY plane, so click on that with your left mouse button. Okay, so you can see right now we're going to be starting at the origin, which is the bottom left-hand corner of your front view. You can see over here to the right we are already in the front view, and we're going to go ahead and start off with a line tool. Now we could either click on the line tool icon, we could use the letter L on our keyboard to also activate line, and once again you can right click and you'll notice I have create line here. So always make sure you start at the origin, so you can see a small green circle appear. One thing to always remember is to left click to start a line. You then want to release the mouse. Do not press it down. Move in the direction you want to draw the line. Pay attention to two things. You'll notice it says 90 degrees on the right, so I'm moving vertically. And that blue area will always change as I move my mouse up or down. Once again, pay attention to the angle, and we're going to type in a number. According to my drawing, this is a 2.5 height, so I'm going to type it in, and then I hit enter on my keyboard. Now this is a line that goes off the screen here, so I have a few options. I can either zoom in or zoom out by using the wheel to zoom in or zoom out. Another thing I can do is I can use the zoom all feature. And I can also double click on my mouse wheel, and that will also activate zoom all. So now we can see that 2.5 inch tall line. I'm going to go ahead and move to the right, and you'll notice I'm still in the line tool. I didn't have to select it. I'm still in line tool. Moving to the right, I'm going to pay attention once again to the angle. It says 90, so I'm moving perpendicular. And this time I'm going to type in the number 1, and I'm going to hit enter. Okay, I'm still in line mode, so I'm going to go ahead and move down, paying attention once again to the angle of 90. And according to my drawing, this is a 1.25 or 1 1/4 inch line. I'm going to hit enter. I'm now going to move to the right, and in doing some simple math, we can figure out that this line is going to have a length of 2. Okay, you can see I'm going off the screen, so once again I have a few options. I can either select zoom all. Okay, I can also zoom in or zoom out. And get used to this little icon. This is actually called panning. Panning can be used to actually move the drawing as well. Very useful tool. Okay, Now I'm going to go ahead once again and select that line tool. Let me go ahead and click here, and you may already still be in line, so I'm selecting the line tool since I just used the pan tool. Now as I move up, you're going to notice that it finds this corner right here. So without even having to type in 1.25, you'll actually see it appear, so I can just go ahead and click. I'm going to move over to the right, and once again pay attention to your degrees. I'm going to type in 1 and hit enter. I'm going to move straight down, and once I get to this line here, you'll notice it already says 2.5, so I actually don't even have to type it in. And always end where you began, which is back at the origin. That way the object is completely enclosed. Okay, whenever we do finish, we typically would hit Finish Sketch, but let me show you a few things just in case you do find any errors. Currently I'm in Line Tool. To get out of any tool, you hit your Escape key once on your keyboard, and you'll notice that it's now out of the Line Tool. Let's say I made a mistake on one of my measurements. Let's use this one right here as an example. Whenever you make a mistake, you can double click on the actual dimension. You can type in a new dimension, and I know this is not correct, but we're going to just type in 1.5. You can either hit the green check mark or you can just hit enter. What you'll find is the drawing updates itself. It adjusts. Let's go ahead and change this back. Let me double click. Change that back to 2. Another question students have is, how do I move dimensions if I want to move them off the drawing? Well, if you hover over the dimension, you see these 4 little white arrows. You can click and you can drag the dimension and you can move it off the drawing if you so choose. Another very important thing is to know how to delete or get rid of objects or lines. If you right click, you'll see the delete option, and I'm going to go ahead and do that one more time. There it goes, and you can delete any geometry or lines if you need to. Let's go ahead and put that back. I could either use the line tool, but don't forget Control Z is also something very useful in Inventor. There it is. Okay? And you can also use Control Y, which is to redo. So Control Z, undo, Control Y, redo. Okay, so this sketch is done. I'm going to go ahead and select Finish Sketch. And once again, it's going off the screen. If I hit this little Zoom All button, okay, you can now see the entire sketch. Now, at any time, if you do find that you see a mistake after finishing a sketch, it's very simple. You simply go to the sketch. You can see when I hover over it, it tells me what that sketch actually is. Right-click and select Edit Sketch. This will once again allow you to move, delete, redraw anything on the sketch. Don't forget, once again, very important to hit Finish Sketch. Okay, let's go ahead and finish this up. You'll notice I'm in 3D model now. I can either click on the extrude, I can also hit E on my keyboard, or as always, right click, and there is the extrude option. Now you'll notice the extrusion is actually coming towards me, which is okay, but I tend to like to have students extrude away from the view. So there's a few ways to do this. You'll notice there's a series of arrows here. I'm going to have it extrude away from me, which is going in this direction. I can also, let me bring this back, I can also grab this arrow here, click and drag it in the direction I want the extrusion to happen. Now don't get too caught up in trying to find the exact number, just push it in the direction you want to extrude. You'll find there's a number here, there's also a number here. Just type in 1.5 and hit OK. Okay, the drawing is complete. I always ask that you do 2 things before you save and move on. Always click on your Zoom Extents or Zoom All, and please make sure that you click on the little house and make sure it's in an isometric. Please do these 2 things before you save your file. So let's go ahead and save it. Click on the little save option, which is also Control S, looks like a little floppy disk. The easiest way to get to your H drive is to click here, and I always like to start on the desktop. If you scroll down, be careful, this is not your H drive, the one that has your name on it, looks like a folder. You always want to open up your home folder, which is the one that actually looks like a drive, a disk drive. Let me go ahead and double click on that. Once again, we should have already created a folder for the class. There's my folder for the class. And we should have also created another folder with our last name, the period number, Isoline, and IsoCirc. Double click on that. Please pay close attention to where you save your work. Let me go ahead and delete the entire file name. And as always, it's last name and period number. And the name of the drawing. This is Isoline 1. I've completed it. I'm going to hit save. To start a new file, you have a few options. One option you will find is that on your screen, towards the bottom, you can see an option called My Home. This is something you can click on to get back to the main menu or home screen. You can see we can click on a new part. You can also click on the small little white piece of paper called New. And from here you can also open up a standard inch part. Either option is fine. Let me go ahead and double click here. Okay, you notice we have a fresh screen ready to start a new sketch. So when you're ready, go ahead and start Isoline 2. Good job.